You're listening to Tabletop Arcanum, a podcast dedicated to learning and exploring the hobby of tabletop gaming. Your hosts are Justin Taylor and Richard Geese, so sit back and relax as we talk, discuss, and joke our way through the hobby we love so much.
Hello and welcome to Tabletop Arcanum. We're your hosts,
Justin
and Ricky, and today we are joined by
Doug.
Thanks for joining us, Doug. Doug is rooming with us, so we're forcing him to enjoy the convention with us.
I was going to say thanks for having me, but I guess I don't have much of a choice.
It's true. So here we are, GenCon.
It was between this or having him awkwardly lay on the bed while we pitter-pattered around.
That was an option.
He would have just played on his phone the entire time and judged just silently.
Yeah.
That is very fair.
So, welcome to episode 1 or day 0 of GenCon 2019. This is going to be rough, raw, and because we're going to throw a little bit out every night for everybody to check in on the next morning. So we got down here, checked in, did the hotel thing. What was that?
Make sure you're talking to the mic.
Oh, yeah. That's a thing. Checked into our hotel, which almost turned into a small disaster because we didn't have a room, and then we had a room, and then everything was fine.
It's a very nice room. Actually,
it's nice.
JW Marriott hooked it up, and we're overlooking a baseball diamond.
Yeah.
I don't know what team plays here, but you know what? I'm okay with it.
Except for when we need to try to get some sort of sleep and the floodlights are still on.
Yeah, you know, it's okay.
Well, we're going to really test out these blackout curtains.
That's what the curtains are for.
Yeah.
We're going to have to test those, though. But yeah, no, got down here, got our coupon books, so we're very excited to see what sort of swag is out there for that. And then got
all three of us went over to the Fantasy Flight in-flight report.
Yeah, so that's the big event for tonight was the Fantasy Flight in-flight report. This is really a trade day, so manufacturers, stores, like all that sort of got together and did their own little fun day. But we got to do the Fantasy in-flight report, which like we did last year was a lot of fun. This year also, maybe not as much fun as last year, I think, but it was packed.
It was jam-packed. It was your first time going.
It was my first time, yeah, and that place was, I think every seat was filled.
Yeah, this was completely sold out, so the only people that didn't make it were like they had a ticket and just didn't make it down in time or decided to like skip that. We had to kind of time our will call line a little bit because we're like, wow, that's a long will call line. It's a lot more deceiving than it looks. It looks really, 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 really long, but it moves. So later on, we went through about an hour.
It was a little over an hour.
Yeah.
So that was actually pretty good, despite being like literally outside when we started. So let's talk about Fantasy Flight and the in-flight report. What do they got?
So they started with Final Hour, which is an Arkham Horror
brand new board game
brand
for
new
the
board game.
Arkham universe. 1 to 4 players, co-op, much like every other Arkham game there is. It's a little bit. I was a little disappointed in seeing that it was 4 players because most of the games fit up to like 8. But the fact that they call it the Final Hour because Cult has started. Just finish a ritual to awaken an ancient one and summon it and to eat everyone, and you arrive on the scene and have to fix it.
You have 8 turns to
win or lose.
To unscrew up everything that they've screwed up.
I like the play on the words because Final Hour should be playing in an hour or less of game time. So this is probably going to be the fastest Arkham game yet.
Yeah, new territory for an Arkham game. I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah. There is, when they started showing the video, I was like, ooh, is this Elder Dice 2nd edition? Because they were talking about, like, clock strikes midnight, the hour approaches. I'm like, ooh. And it's the only other Arkham game that had a clock sort of mechanic attached to it. And no, they shocked me on this one. So they are demoing it, so we will definitely get our hands on it.
They are also selling it.
Limited quantities.
Hopefully, we're going to try our best to grab a copy of it.
Yeah.
But they're at least demoing it all week.
Right. If we don't get our hands on a copy ourselves because we want it, for our own collection, and then also be able to review and share with you our thoughts before this game comes out in like November. We are definitely going to demo it here and see what it's about, especially when it's like an hour playtime. Those demos got to go fast.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the brand new Arkham thing.
It should be out this fall. MSRP is going to be about $40, so...
Yeah, not very expensive.
Yeah.
A sweet spot there.
Yeah.
What was next?
Next was the Genesis RPG.
This is also when they had their technical hiccup.
Yeah.
That was Genesis, that we played the Genesis system with the Star Wars last year. I really like the storytelling system that this it's all dice based and narrative through what your dice roll is, and then you interpret it and your GM interprets it. And have you done this yet, Doug?
I haven't, no.
Okay. So the idea behind it is you have good dice and bad dice in your roll. So like as a GM, like you roll, okay, it's going to be this stat line and this attribute, so you pool your dice based on that, and then I'm like, okay, well, it's this difficulty, so you add these dice to it, and then you roll them all together, and like successes cancel out failures, and you kind of figure out like, okay, based on your roll, did you succeed or did you not? And then another factor in there is either you have advantage or disadvantage, so you can succeed on a roll, but maybe at a disadvantage. Like, yes, you hacked the door open, but it made a loud noise, so everybody goes alerted about it.
Okay.
Or vice versa, like you didn't hack the door, but nobody knows you're there still. Like something like that. Like you can really, it's really interesting of how you can interpret those roles.
So more like degrees of success.
Correct.
And it kind of makes it easy on the DM trying to figure out how is this going to play out, like logistically. Okay, yeah, you did super great. Oh, you did super bad. But then, in that middle, you're like, okay, you did okay.
Right. I like it, and then when they talk about the Genesis system, they made it generic, so they took the Star Wars stuff off of it and made it like an open RPG. You can put it in fantasy worlds, you can put it in sci-fi worlds, you can do it modern day. Like, here's the dice system, use it how you feel. They put the Descent, Terranoth world as a core book. They also did one for their Cyberpunk Android universe, which are already out, but then they're expanding a player's guide version is what they announced.
They announced a new rule supplement. They also announced a GM screen that we didn't get to see, but it was described to us, and it was described as very, very pretty.
We did see it for about 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And then because Keyforge, they're doubling down on Keyforge, they're doing a Keyforge source book.
They're doing the Keyforge source book.
So you can do like a Keyforge RPG. So that'll be interesting.
They're also available tomorrow on Foundry. They're doing a drive-through RPG.
Yes.
Yeah.
So their drive-through RPG has some like user-generated material options. The White Wolf games like Vampire and Mage already kind of use this as they call it the Storyteller Vault. Essentially, I can create. They have templates that I can download and then create a module or create a source book of my own and toss it up there for everybody. And it's just there for people to use. So they're doing this kind of the same thing for their Genesis system too. So if the community can definitely like double down on themselves and generate their own source material. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Just to see, because that's always the best thing is when players get their hands on stuff and then run with it. That's where the best innovation comes from usually. What was up next?
Next on the docket, Star Wars Legion. They announced the paint and take area at GenCon, similar to what they had over at Star Wars Celebration. So I'm going to hit that up. I don't know if you know this, Doug, but I have bought a lot of Star Wars Legion, and I have not painted a lot of it. So if I get one more done in the course of this weekend, that's one more that I probably haven't done ever. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I've done a paint and take before. When Tony and I ran out to, it was the Alliance Open House last fall. WizKids was doing. I think it was Game Trade Magazine was doing the paint and take with the WizKids minis. So they all gave everybody like owl bears. They're like, here's a bunch of paint. Here's a bunch of owl bear minis. Go crazy. So you can literally have practice, put some paint on a model and go, oh, this is neat, and then you take it home with you.
It's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually they don't cost you anything either. So I can only imagine how much money on the back end Fantasy Flight's putting in on something like that, because Gen Con's not small.
Yeah, but you bust open a bunch of
Celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're doing one box of like troopers.
The first one's free, Justin. This is how you start an addiction.
It is true.
They didn't need to do this to me, but you understand how many people they're probably going to have paint one mini and go, you know what, this is what I want, and then are in the same boat as me.
That's how they get you hooked.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, so the paint and take is a neat idea. I'll definitely be stopping by. I don't. If I have the time, I'll definitely paint and take. But I think hitting demos is going to be my bigger priority. Mm-hmm. This is all was live streamed this year, so if you actually want to see some of this, you can definitely head over to the Fantasy Flight YouTube channel. They actually will post it all there. And then, of course, just like last year, if you go to their website, like all the articles dropped at once the in-flight report was over. Mm-hmm. So I know a lot of people online are already going crazy. So it was Legion, and they talked about the extra factions and stuff for Legion.
Yeah, so
Clone Wars is here.
We're gonna have the actually for sale here at the during the weekend is the core set. But starting in Q1 of 2020, we're looking at getting Count Dooku, Clone Captain Rex, Phase 2 Clone Troopers,
and the B2
and
Super
the B2
Battle Droids.
Super Battle. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Dooku looked cool.
They also did announce that we will be looking at. Let me see. I apologize. Q1, we're also looking at the AAT Trade Federation battle tank, and
the Phantom Menace, very famous battle tank there.
Oh yeah, and the TX-130 Saber class fighter tank for the clones.
That thing looked awesome. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of cool stuff coming from the Legion side. Then they also have the Imperial bunker.
They have the Imperial bunker
that they announced, as well as the crashed escape pod
with R2-D2 and C-3PO.
More importantly, it comes with the 2 droids that you could then use in your forces.
They can be used for Galactic Republic or
Rebel. Yeah.
And that's going to be out. The Imperial bunker and the crashed escape pod are going to be out by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Next thing, X-Wing, 2nd edition Houndstooth. With
so pretty.
The Z95 Headhunter, that's coming out by the end of the year.
Yeah, they definitely revamped the paint job on that thing. I remember the 1st edition one being very, like, for such a large ship, it was kind of boring because it was like
basic.
It was like a brown ship and with like no real detail on it. This thing looks pretty. It's like a little bit more on the tan side, but then they have like a lot of accent paint on there that makes it pop a lot. So that thing looked really sweet. And then what was more important is the
Resistance. Before we get to the cards, also
the
Resistance. So they're bringing in Resistance ships. We're looking at the Fireball and Major Von Rank's TIE.
Resistance First Order definitely needs some new ships, so I'm glad that they're tapping into the Resistance cartoon to get a couple more ships while we're still waiting on Episode 9 to drop later this year.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like you said, cards.
Card packs. This is something I think X-Wing players have been asking for since like 1st edition. Of why do I need to buy a ship that's not in my faction to get an upgrade card that I need that I can use on my ships that are in my faction. So they're releasing 3 card packs for X-Wing 2.0.
The Hot Shots and Aces, Never Tell Me the Odds, and Fully Loaded.
So, Hot Shots and Aces
is a reinforcement pack.
Right, so that's going to be more pilot-oriented. There's the upgrade one is definitely like focused on the upgrades. And then what was Never Told Me Odds was
the obstacle pack.
Obstacle pack, which actually of the 3, that's the one that I'm a little excited about because more obstacles in that game is actually what makes it more interesting, I think.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then Legion. Not Legion.
Armada. Superstar Destroyer is available tomorrow. You'll start seeing those in stores.
Yep. I know our local store has them and will have them. They got a hefty price tag, but seeing the thing last year, Doug, you were here last year. Did you stop by and see that thing?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
It's gigantic.
It's like your forearm. The mini, quote unquote, is this length of your forearm. It's a Super Star Destroyer. It looks awesome.
It's $200.
It's also $200. So, if you play Armada, I think it would be worth the investment because it's either going to be a really, really cool like shelf piece in miniature for to look at, but also works in your game. Or I would want to see how this thing runs in a game.
Mm-hmm.
Armada's really weird. I played it for a while. I liked it, but it's a different game from X-Wing.
Yeah. They also did announce Neandry Starhawk and Uninter class Star Destroyer.
Yep.
Those two should be coming out by the end of the year.
So the Starhawk's actually from the novels that are canon.
Yes.
Yeah,
correct.
like that was a really cool. Like, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, that was. I do enjoy it because I personally have been reading through the novel, so it's been nice to see some of that come through. I mean, I've already got my theories about the Mandalorian that are related to the books. So when people are talking about it and I bring that up, people
think you're crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But after that, we got Keyforge.
Yeah, third set. So they're sticking with their 2 sets a year. So like a spring and a fall release. So the third set, World Collides, is coming up. And they teased yesterday, and they teased, I think, this morning, 2 new house icons. So we got to see them.
Well, first, let's acknowledge they did have 1.1 million registered decks since they brought this out. Have you played Keyforge yet?
I haven't yet.
It's something that we're definitely going to have to introduce you to.
I have a pack.
Yeah. And that's the nice thing is, like, you buy a pack, whether it's the first set, second set, third set, they're all compatible. They all work with each other, and it's a fast game. So
it can be either very frustrating or very fun, depending on your pack.
Yeah.
That's kind of the fun of it, because it's all just going to depend on the deck that you pull.
Mm-hmm.
There's no spending money, no doing anything, trying to make the perfect deck. I mean, you see people online who buy...
You chase specific cards or combinations of cards that you're looking for is what we've seen in the third market now, but ultimately, like, just get decks. If you don't like the one you have, get another one.
Yeah.
Or what we did recently at the game shop was doing a best of the worst tournament.
You had someone your worst deck, and...
Yeah. Everybody brings what they think is officially what they call the toughest deck for you that you own to win with. Like, it just doesn't synergize well or whatever. And then when you sit down with your opponent, you give them your deck for them to play, and they give you their back deck. So you're battling your own not so great deck with a deck that isn't much better. It was fun, but it was a way for them to develop how do we make all decks something you would bring to a tournament and see play. Like, bring a bad deck, then give it to someone else. See if they can win with it. I got third on that one. Definitely didn't bring the worst, but I definitely didn't bring a great deck either.
So they did announce official accessories for Keyforge coming from GameGenic.
Yeah.
We have the deck book and the deck vault.
Yeah, and we're kind of modeled off of things that have already, like, users created.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, where you slide in the not the vault, but the deck box, where the name of the deck is visible, and there's holes where you can see the houses in the deck. We've seen a couple of those in wood, and I've seen 3D printed versions of those. So this is like a nice, like, stitched deck box version, a little bit more luxury.
It did look really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they look like I'm not that huge into Keyforge, but even I looked at it, and I was like, man.
Yeah, if you get that one nice deck, that's what you want it to be in.
Yeah.
The deck vault I love because it looked like a cube.
Yeah.
With the keys attached to the outside, and it can hold 3 decks, and then has a whole bottom slot for your tokens and stuff. I just wish they took this design one micro step further, though. to be able to put those nice deck boxes in the deck vault.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like you could put 3 sleeve decks, but not anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
It has its purpose. So is the first one. But the new set has 2 new houses. However, they're removing Sanctum and Mars from it.
Correct. So they're replacing Sanctum and Mars with Grand Star Alliance,
which seemed like the Kree.
Semi like the Kree.
Or no, not the Kree. More a little Kree, little Nova Corps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it definitely felt like almost like a Marvel ripoff.
And then, of course, the Saurians Republic, the dinosaurs.
Roman dinosaurs.
They looked pretty great. But you should expect to see those out this November.
Right. So all the sets are going to have 7 houses, and they're going to rotate new houses in and swap out old houses. But as they said, this wasn't the last time we would see Sanctum or Mars. That they'll come back in another set, and something else will swap out instead.
Yeah.
So it's another way to get even more options and more cards and more fun out there.
After that, they announced a new game, Marvel Champions card game, co-op LCG.
Yeah,
Feelings on that, gentlemen?
What do you think, Doug?
I don't know.
Do you play any LCGs currently?
No, I've played the Arkham LCG before, and it's not my preferred style of games. So,
okay.
But I don't like the concept of buying multiple core games to get a full set to play. So it sounds like this is a little bit different in that you can kind of start with what you got, and then the packs that like the add-on character packs are designed to. You can pick it up and play. You can also add it into your existing cards and build your deck. But if you're the style of just want to pick it up and start with the deck that they built for you, you can do that. So I kind of like that concept.
Yeah, they actually have a couple like newer design thoughts on the release cycle on this, which you called it out, Doug. Like this is the first LCG that one core will give you all of the playset cards that you need.
And
the price is higher. It's a $60 core box opposed to a $40 core box. However, Arkham needed 2, and that's $80.
And the problem that I have right now is it seems like that right now, but until we get hands-on with it, they were talking about you can customize the cards.
Right.
So customize the deck, so you don't have to go out of one of the 4 aspect classes: leadership, aggression, protection, or justice. You can have a hybrid of however many you want, and at that point it may become difficult to have multiple decks out of the core set.
We'll have to see what it comes with.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that
it also can support up to 4 players out of the one core box. So I'm curious to see where those aspect cards are going to fall into that.
And that's going to be if you do not customize the decks at all, which could be fine, could be completely fine. But we have to see what happens when we actually get into the nitty gritty of it. Right. I would really like it if it was, because like you said, Doug, the thing that sucks about some LCG games is you have to buy that second core. I had to buy a second core of Arkham.
Yep.
Just to make sure if I had more than one deck or if I want to play with someone that I had all the cards.
Honestly, more than one core. You need 2 cores of Arkham to have just 2 copies of the core cards.
Yeah, and technically you can play that one game of Arkham even with a couple players with one core, but you're limited to which characters you can play and how you can build your decks.
Right. You're hampered a little bit by it, and that sucks.
And I think the game that I played, we were 4 of us, and I think we brought together like 3 core games just to make sure that everybody had a full set of options they could use.
Yeah, you would need at least 3. Realistically,
3 plus plus a couple expansions with extra characters.
If you get the extra deluxe expansions, then you're doing okay. If you're looking at core only, that's one of those it's like a core per player. Like there's 3 of us, we need 3 cores.
Yeah.
There's 4 of us, we need 4 cores.
Yeah.
Minimum. more is better. But yeah, I appreciate that they finally have figured out that has been a sore spot for LCG players for years. Arkham's 2. Everything else before that's been 3 core sets to get a play set.
Yeah.
And I was saying with everyone afterwards is like the Lord of the Rings card game. It's not an even card pool in a core set in the Lord of the Rings game. It's like some of them you have 4 copies of, some of them you have 3 copies of, some you have 2, some you have 1. And if you want a full play set, you're buying 3 of them so that you get 3 copies of that 1 card, but then you have 9 or 12 of something else.
That's what I'm kind of worried about it. I'm hoping that they have fixed that and it's going to be nice. I mean, it was MSRP. I want to say what 60. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not quite 2 times what the other LCG cores are. It's 1.5 times. So I think we're okay. Mm-hmm. Because if you really think about it, like if you buy 2 Arkham cores, if you just want the cards, you're only really needing about half of that box. Because then the tokens and the extra characters and scenarios, you don't need that. So,
yeah,
I think we might be okay, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see when we get our hands on it and actually open it and see. They are demoing it, so we'll definitely play it this weekend.
I'll be curious to get my hands on it, because the only thing I kept thinking when he was talking about this was Sentinels, and I don't know if it's similar in any way. But
it might be. I think it might have some inspiration from the Sentinels.
And just the concept of multiple superheroes battling scenarios and villains.
Right. I did like, and I'm trying to figure out how they're going to play this, where you can play as the superhero or as their alter
ego. So like Peter Parker versus Spider-Man, your cards your character cards double-sided.
I don't think it was an either or. I think it was more the alter ego has situations to deal with.
You flip you're going to be flipping that in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And you'll have access to some powers on one, some powers on the other side, and depending on what you have to deal with. I like that each hero comes with a nemesis that may or may not be pulled in the story. So it's kind of it sounded almost like the Arkham weakness cards and signature cards. And then each hero also has like 15 cards that are purely their cards. Like these 15 cards are for Spider-Man, and only Spider-Man gets them.
Yeah, exactly. They have
to keep that flavor for that character.
They also have the nemesis that will be thrown into the encounter deck.
Right.
So all of a sudden you're Peter Parker, and I don't know.
They showed off Vulture.
Yeah. So you're Peter Parker, and all of a sudden Vulture comes out of the event deck, and not only are you dealing with the situation at hand, but now Vulture's here messing everything up for everyone, and you have to deal with it personally.
He's got a grudge.
Yeah.
I did like the concept behind those cards that are specific to each superhero.
Yeah.
He did say expect those to be a little more powerful than you might think they are.
Right.
The idea behind it being they want you to feel like a superhero with superpowers,
and these are your cards.
This is your cards, so it really makes you stand out as that hero.
Yeah.
So the other big Marvel superhero game that I love Legendary, and one of my biggest problems with Legendary is it's a deck building game, and you start with like generic shield cards, like shield agents and shield troopers, and you collect heroes, but you collect a variety of heroes. So like your deck is going to have maybe some Captain America in it, some Spider-Man cards, some depending on what you buy and you build with, you're not playing those heroes, you're playing with them.
Yeah.
Where this is a lot like the Arkham Horror LCG, where if you're playing Captain America, the deck, you have Captain America cards and nobody else does. So I'm
can't
excited
be playing
for that
as
part
Black
of it.
Panther and then throw out a web slinger, like Spider-Man's web slinger.
Or Aunt May.
Yeah. So they did announce the 5 heroes that are going to be part of the core set. We're looking at Iron Man, Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, She-Hulk, and Black Panther.
And one of my favorites was weirdly missing from that list, and I'm like, really? No Cap?
And so that was nice that they followed up and they said, "This is what we're planning. We're planning in October. This is the core.
Next 3 months.
In November, you are going to receive the Green Goblin scenario. So here's a new scenario. In December, you'll receive a new hero. We're looking at Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
And then in January, we're going to receive Miss Marvel.
Right.
So
they're once a month packs. They'll be about the same LCG, probably $14.95 price point. But we're going to get, here's a new scenario, here's a new hero, here's a new scenario, here's a new hero sort of situation going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be good. It's just going to be, my ultimate question is, in all of the other LCGs, they're broken into cycles.
Mm-hmm.
So like Arkham, for example, you have the Dunwich cycle. So you have the Dunwich Deluxe box that comes out, and then like 6 supplement packs that support it. I don't know where this model's really... Excuse me. I don't know where this really model's going with that. They did talk about the campaign boxes, which sound like kind of like the deluxe box idea that's going to come out maybe once or twice a year, where it's not going to be overloading you, but it'll be a big box every once in a while. I just don't know how that big box is going to interact with all those like once a month packs.
I kind of got the impression that the once a month packs are going to be more independent of each other, not thematic with each other, versus the campaigns are going to be more of a thematic bundle of scenarios and maybe a couple heroes.
Yeah. We'll see if we can grill some of the Fantasy Flight guys this weekend and see if we can get some extra details on how that works.
We'll harass them until they tell us something.
Or kick us out.
Or kick us out.
And then after all this, we did have Atomic Mass Games come out to stage. So that was a little bit of a surprise because this is a Fantasy Flight panel. So, I mean, did not expect someone else to come out. But they did announce, and I know Justin over here is pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
So they formed last year, and they had a little technical difficulty, so they kind of gave away the secret before. They were supposed to give us away the secret. They were supposed to tell us some things about themselves, and then all of a sudden, up popped Marvel Crisis Protocol, which is a miniatures game.
Skirmish game.
It's a skirmish game, and it looked pretty solid because it was mix and match heroes and villains.
Yeah, you could bring whatever you want to the table. Red Skull, Captain America can fight side by side, Spider-Man, Venom, doesn't matter. Like, bring what you want. It did sound later on, like, as much as he was pushing bring what you want, later on it kind of felt like, yeah, there'll be some soft bonuses if you bring, like, the Avengers characters together. Like, they kind of will try to mesh each other a little bit. I'm like, okay, cool. So if you really don't want to, you don't have to, but then there's a bonus if you do.
And the pictures of the models looked beautiful. I don't know about you guys, but I thought they were pretty solid. They're hard plastic.
Yep.
So
high
detailed, great poses. The one different thing that I saw of this core set is the terrain is interactable. Like, you're literally supposed to use the terrain. You're supposed to...
Hulk can pick up and throw a car.
Yeah.
Because it's there.
They even said that Hulk could pick up the Daily Bugle and throw it at someone. It's like, all right, Hulk can do whatever he wants.
I think there was a Daily Bugle newsstand and not necessarily the Daily Bugle building.
Yeah,
but Hulk does what Hulk wants.
Yeah.
I like the idea. One of the things that I kind of dug is how the game is set up. We still don't really know gameplay, like what a turn-by-turn looks like. But they are demoing it. We will definitely be... I'll be checking it out and seeing what it's about, because...
we'll be hassling them.
The local store is very big on miniature games, so we're going to have to bring back some intel on that. But I assemble my 10 selected heroes. You assemble your 10 selected heroes. We each bring like half of a mission together. I put my half. I know what I'm going to bring. You know what you're going to bring, but you don't know what each other has.
I thought that was super solid. It was,
and then we smash them together. Those are our objectives, and more importantly, then you take, okay, which of the 10 like bench do I pull in and put on the starting team?
I thought that was super solid. That I know half of the details of this mission, which is, I mean, as a superhero, you only know half of what's going on when you jump into something.
Usually.
So, I mean, that was a pretty solid way to mix things up.
The objectives also interactable. So not just the terrain you can do stuff with, and it's just not like, oh, it gives you a cover bonus like most war games. But like if you're trying to get pieces of a cosmic cube is one of your objectives. Well, the cosmic cube gives powers in the comic book, so it's going to do something in the game when you get the objective. I haven't really seen that in a lot of the tabletop games.
Yeah.
So they're doing some unique stuff and some interesting stuff, and I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and they also announced their organized play where
they just want you to play the game.
They want you to play the game. So they will say that if you come out for an organized play, that you will receive whatever prize first place wins, even if you win last place, just because they want you to be there.
It almost sounds like there isn't any placement.
There's no placement, but then
like
they will...
It's not a tournament per se structure.
But then they will have... They will have tournaments at conventions in the future.
Yes,
so this is we want you to come. Yeah, they want you to come out. They want you to play. They want you to play to the point that you get to. Yeah, you get all the fun stuff. You get to the point in the game where you feel like you can go to a convention and play it. And I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely.
I like this. I'm not the type of person to go play in a tournament for the most part, but if it's a game I enjoy and I want to try it with new people and try and see new strategies and stuff, that's something that might appeal to a player more like me.
Right. You definitely want the casual entry level.
Yeah.
I'm not a very good competitive player. Like hands down, like I barely win anything when I play competitively. And I always like, oh man, those top tier prizes look great, and I know I don't have access to them because I'm not good enough to play that. So an organized play structure that's like, no, everybody gets these acrylic tokens because thanks for coming out and playing in the event is more appealing to me as a player.
Yeah.
And I think it's a smart move by them. A new company, new game, new IP. It encourages people to come out and just participate and spread the word.
Right, and that's how you're going to build community. That's how you're going to grow the game, and you're going to get people playing it. Did they put price points on that one?
Oh,
that we know of.
I'm not sure. Actually, I don't know.
I don't remember seeing.
I don't remember seeing prices either.
Yeah.
They may have. I may have just missed it. I know they also announced that they already have 2 character packs in the works.
Hulk.
I didn't get the full listing of the core set. They kind of ran through it a little quick.
Yeah. It was like 30-minute presentation. It was actually kind of long, but also quick in some parts. It was a lot of technical stuff, I think, that was acting up on him.
It made me feel weird because it kept seeming like he was done.
And
then he'd be like, okay, let's roll into this. And that's completely fine. I mean, he gave us a lot of information. They're very excited about it. And, one thing I like about a game developer is seeing that excitement.
Yeah.
And that really sells it to me that this person really cares about this game.
Mm-hmm.
So they really want you to care about this game. So they don't care. They want you to understand, this is why I'm excited about it. Okay, but this is also why I'm excited about it. All right. Okay, no, this is why I'm really excited about it. And he, the presenter, really came out and really gave a very detailed and great presentation on that.
You could tell he's put a ton of work into this. And
right. This is definitely a love
his passion.
Speaking of, developers who are really excited about the projects, Ricky, you might, if he should be here this weekend, but Mike Pondsmith, who wrote Cyberpunk, is super pumped.
If he's here, I really want to meet him.
Is super pumped for Cyberpunk Red, which is launching, but also for Cyberpunk 2077, the upcoming video game from CD Projekt Red. Like, he is super pumped about the whole collaboration and everything new. So, yeah, I'll see if we can catch him.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So that was the entire Fantasy Flight in-flight report. Doug, how did you feel? This is your first time viewing it.
It's my first time seeing it. So my favorite part was the Arkham, the new Arkham game. That's really the most up my alley as far as what I play. So I'm definitely interested in checking that out. It was interesting. It was great to see, what's coming up and what they have planned. So my first time going to an event like that. So it's kind of cool to get a kind of an advanced look at what's coming out.
Right.
It's always fun seeing the energy come from the different people there. Because there are people there who just play X-Wing. There are people there who just play Keyforce. There are people there who just play Legion. And just seeing all the different people.
Like, oh, let's talk about Armada, and like a quarter of the room cheers. Like everybody's like supportive and clapping, but there's like you can tell like, okay, those people are Armada players.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's our X-Wing crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was surprised that they led with that, though.
With the Arkham?
Because that was like a big announcement that they're like, okay, this is a brand new game. You can go find it out in the dealer's room tomorrow. And it's just like, wait, hold.
That's a good one. Yeah, after everything else, it kind of seemed like that should have been their like big announcement at the end of the presentation.
Yeah,
that's where I think Marvel was that capstone. Last year they led with Arkham 3rd Edition. So, is it? I should probably look up. Maybe it's alphabetical.
No, because
Keyforge was the capstone last year because it was the look at this brand new IP that we have.
Yeah, Keyforge was last year,
and that was Marvel this year.
And so I kind of felt, although yes, I'm very excited for Marvel announcing a brand new game that's going to be available tomorrow. I felt should have been the end of everything.
Limited quantities only here. It's not like stores are getting
it
tomorrow.
Yes.
And that's I think the catch of why it falls where it is.
Yeah.
I was still a little surprised at how much time was allotted to what was the last Marvel miniature game called?
Crisis Protocol.
That was like about a third of the time.
Yeah,
especially 30 minutes.
For them.
Especially given that it wasn't a Fantasy Flight game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a little. It felt a little weird, but as Ricky was saying, he's excited. I'm excited for him.
Yeah.
I hope the game does well. I'm definitely going to demo it and check it out, and maybe this is the miniature game for me because I want one.
I appreciate
but I'm not 100% sure which one's mine.
I appreciate. Well, you've gotten more into painting lately because of the contrast paints, but I appreciate it because unlike Star Wars, where you have to buy wave after wave after wave of your own men, you've got 10 characters that you get in the core set, and you probably only have to paint 5. So it's a quick setup, quick paint, quick everything. Justin, how'd you feel about this year? Don't die.
I'm trying not to. Got to survive 4 more days of this. I think last year was better. If I'm going to compare last year versus this year's in-flight report.
Mm-hmm. Last year they had a lot of... They announced the Clone Wars era, like everything.
Yeah, there was a lot more things that got hit yesterday. This year is a little softer.
I think they acknowledged that in the front where they said, hey, we're about to announce some stuff. Just know more stuff's in the pipeline.
It always is, though.
But they announced that right up front. They kind of started with that soft, hey,
we got stuff.
There's stuff in the pipeline. So if you're not too wowed by this, don't worry down the line.
Personally, I'm a little... I know some of the communities were already griping about. There was 0 Game of Thrones, 0 L5R.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a Twilight Imperium 4th Edition expansion of some sort. That game's been out for over 2 years now without any support.
Yeah.
I want to get 8 players on that board.
Yeah.
Give me my expansion. And I know I'm not alone in that. I'm a little weirded out the fact that they talked about the new Final Hour Arkham game, but we didn't talk about the Arkham Horror 3rd Edition board game expansion that is literally around the corner, too, when we were talking about other things that are around the corner already. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think they could have filled the time a little bit better this year with other stuff and maybe not so much time at the end with the miniatures game from another company. And, this is their time. Let them shine for their stuff.
Well, maybe they wanted to give them that time. So it sounded like the developer of that game was good friends with the
head of the studio.
The head of the studio, yeah. So maybe he felt he was, doing a favor for a friend and giving him enough time to really get into the game that he's spent a lot of time creating.
Right.
I'm wondering if somehow Fantasy Flight... I wouldn't be surprised if Fantasy Flight does have something to do with Animas games where they have like a whatever.
There might be something there.
Because, I mean, Fantasy Flight just announced, hey, this is our Marvel LCG. Now, to pass it off to this group over here, here's their models, or their miniature game. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of something going on.
Yeah, this Marvel license being passed around quite a bit.
Yeah. The Op has it.
Yeah, Op has it. Fantasy Flight now has some Marvel game coming up. Robot has a game coming up. Yeah, so it's around. So we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic. Marvel is a huge franchise and huge name to do stuff with. And Fantasy Flight had the Marvel Heroes board game ages ago, and then good luck finding any information on it because that kind of seemed to be like, oh yeah, let's not talk about that anymore.
Yeah.
So overall, I think it could have been a better report. Am I truly disappointed? No, but I feel like there's stuff that people wanted that are just missing from it, ultimately. And
I just also thought we should give an update. It is 12:43, and the line for the will call is finally inside the building.
That's a sign. I don't know what the sign is, but that's a sign.
Things are finally.
People are going to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Around this time, a couple hours from now, about 2 more hours is when I picked up my tickets last year, and there was like nobody in line at that point. So we went through it pretty quick. So jump in and have some time. Just try not to do that during the waking hours tomorrow, and actually enjoy the con if you can.
I do have a friend coming out. And he was planning on just driving out tomorrow morning and jumping in line. I was like, dude, it's better just to come out tonight. You already have the room.
You're not going to be able to enjoy anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be in line all morning.
Yeah. But for me, I enjoyed this Inflate report. It wasn't as strong as last year's, but last year's they kind of announced a lot real quick.
Yeah, it was just shotgun.
And then they pulled that Oprah moment where they're like, all right, you get a Keyforge deck. You get a Keyforge deck. So that was pretty cool.
Where's my Keyforge deck this year?
And, I'm not disappointed they didn't give a Keyforge deck out.
Where's my Marvel Champion Star set to this year? I was secretly hoping they were going to pull it.
I was hoping because I was like, I would play the living crap out of that tonight. We would be recording this right now, and I'd be like, okay, hold on real quick. I need to pause this for...
I got to do a thing.
I got to do a thing.
And now it's all right.
It seemed a little weak at points, and I can understand that they did do a lot last year, and they might have a lot coming up. So let's just hope that we get some indication. And they're also kind of announcing stuff as it comes out now. They're live streaming, every Tuesday and Thursday now?
Tuesdays and Thursdays now, yep.
Yeah, so they're kind of very open about everything they're doing at all times, so...
And actually, I've jumped on a couple of those live streams, and they're really very good about watching the chat and responding to questions, and because it's not just like the same 2 people on those live streams. It's usually someone that's involved in the project that they're playing. Yeah. Like I watched one of the Outer Rim ones, and they actually, one of the designers for Outer Rim was playing it with them. So I think they're doing really good stuff with that.
Yeah, and I'm clipping there. So it's they've come a long way in the last year. But more than anything, we're in day 0 right now. Tomorrow is officially day 1. Doug, what do you have planned for tomorrow?
It's already day 1.
I got to check my calendar because I got so much planned this weekend. I'm having trouble keeping it straight.
Yeah, no.
So for Ricky and I, I've got the Pandemic Survival Tournament.
You've got that. I'm planning on digging through the
dealer hall.
The dealer hall, yes.
We got Lord of the Rings in the afternoon.
Lord of the Rings in the afternoon.
The 3 of us are actually going to be playing the Pathfinder 2.0, like a 5-hour RPG session together. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
2.0 is here, so we're going to actually test run it and see it in action, which I'm excited for.
Oh, and before this next thing that Justin's about to say, we will forewarn you that we hope to put an episode out tomorrow night. We'll see how it works. But
the RPG,
Justin, what are we doing right after the
the RPG goes to 1 in the morning or something like that, but then we're going to do an escape room right after.
Yeah, so we're doing an escape room at 1:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So
we'll come back. We'll be a little slap happy. We'll record something. Hopefully, keep it on the shorter side because we're excited.
We're gonna need to do a BWWR run, like
Before then, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Please and thank you.
Yeah.
No, I think it's gonna be good. So that's kind of on my plate, Ricky. You've got you're with most of those things with me.
I'm everything but the pandemic with you.
Right.
I've got nothing planned other than that, so I'm going to be doing the dealer's room, hopefully the consignment area.
And then, Doug, you had a couple seminars, right?
Yeah, I got a couple seminars. So I've been role-playing for a couple of years now and thinking about dipping my toes into the world of GMing.
It's a thankless job.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So I got a couple seminars, one about how to create encounters that are more than just straight-up combat and making more interesting. And another
Always
one,
good.
And another one about how to encourage role-playing from your players at the table.
Nice.
Bribes? Bribes work.
Bribes always work.
If not, then you beat them.
With a stick.
TPK.
Oh, no, I meant like...
I'm done with this TPK.
I meant physical abuse, right?
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, hit them over the head with a newspaper until they roleplay better.
No. Get the spray bottle.
Aside from that, I'll probably try to find some time to walk the vendor hall. I'd love to try to pick up a copy of the Pathfinder 2e Player's Handbook.
There's tons. We
Yeah.
saw one of the booths with, like, a GenCon security guard guarding it.
Mm-hmm.
And, like... I used to work at a bookstore, and we used to do the same thing. Like when the Harry Potter books came out, like we had to stage them and then cover them with like a tarp.
Yes, they don't officially release until tomorrow, right?
But there's a pile of them
Oh,
ready
yeah.
to go right now.
Yeah.
And we saw that outside of the vendor hall. So if the vendor hall's overcrowded and you need to and that's what you're looking for.
Grab and go, yeah.
There's a grab and go booth, which they had last year for the play test, and I'm glad to see it come back because that's going to be busy.
Yeah.
And ironically, that is right outside the big hall where Pathfinder Society and all the Pathfinder games run. So, very convenient.
I want my plaid hat.
Plaid hat games, plaid hat. Yeah, they're giving away plaid hats for their 10-year anniversary.
10-year anniversary, plaid hat games, plaid hat.
So, Dead of Winter plaid hat game. So you can wear your plaid hat while you play Dead of Winter.
But yeah, we've been keeping an eye on promos and stuff. There are a few things that we're interested in. We have a list if you want to look at it, Doug.
Yeah.
And I've just been monitoring it. I do want to see if we can get a copy of Unmatched.
Yeah, Unmatched.
Unmatched, yeah. That's going to be out here.
Restoration Games game built on like playing legendary characters against each other, like
I want to fight
Bruce Lee versus Raptors.
No, Bruce Lee versus Bigfoot. Let's do this thing. Like, Bigfoot is a majestic creature and should teach anyone who tries to disrespect it.
Well, if you saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you know Bruce Lee's no one to mess with either.
I don't know. Brad Pitt kind of threw him.
He let him.
Meh. Okay.
Anyway.
Before we get too far into that.
More to come.
More to come. Yes, we will be rooting around tomorrow. I'm hoping to get a copy of Horrified.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's a
Looks
lot
really
of stuff
cool.
that I really want to get a hold of.
So let's get some rest, see what we can get, and chat to everybody in like 24 hours from now.
Yeah. Doug,
No,
thanks for...
more than that. More than that, because our RPG will be ending about 24 hours from now.
So 26 hours from now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
26 hours from now we'll be chatting again.
Doug, thanks for joining us. You're
absolutely.
probably going to be on here tomorrow with us again.
Most
Because
likely.
Unless you want to crawl into bed and hear us talk. And
No, we'll stick the microphone into your face while you're sleeping. It'll just be you snoring in the background of me and Justin slap happily rambling.
That's true. All right. Well, this is Justin from Tabletop Arcanum.
And this is Ricky.
And Doug.
Have a great Gen Con, everybody. You've been listening to Tabletop Arcanum, hosted by Justin Taylor and Richard Geese, and featuring the original music by Paul Moore and Isaac Gilbert. You can follow us on most social media platforms. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. As always, thanks for listening.